Ben, a lot of organizations has a different style to handle their subordinators. That's why the company always hired unavailable, managers. That should be to make sure the organizations always find that and that managers for skills full, because for today in the market is a very competitive, especially how to handle the subordinators. Uh, Doc, next, ulit. Next. Managerial leaderships, leader must be a growth mindset. It means should be being a manager, you are optimistic because, for example, your subordinators is rely with you with your performance. It depends the performance of the manager. For example, if the managers are really effective to handle in the organizations, it means the company always be successful. It because it depends the manager and also to the subordinator. Now, for today, managers are really important if a manager is a very skillful, because, for example, these skills is a very helpful to the organizations. And aside from that, should be very strategical. It means always, finding a lot of informations, and should be the information is a very, is a very what is that in Tagalog is applicable and very accurate to the organizations as well. And aside from that, should be the cultural to accept to the organizations and avoid the biases or avoid for the the favoritisms inside the organizations. Should be being a leader should be or a role model, and not just only for the company, but also to the people surround with you. And next po ulit. Managerial leaders must have several skills and attributes. It should this one is a very important being a manager should be to apply to the organizations. For example, number one, they think strategically and build effective teams. It means always, always think positive how to improve the organizations. For example, if you always are optimistic and always you finding a way, because for example, if leaders in the organizations is a very nice or a very strategical, it means the organizations the result is always satisfied. And it should be a bad effective teams. It means, for example, always being a leaders should be always your relationship to your subordinators should be it's always in good, because for example, if your one of your subordinators, for example, has a bad feeling with you because your attitude is not good for him, he or she doesn't perform well because he has a bad feeling with you, and should be you are a good relationship to your subordinators. And number two, they create a healthy organizational structures. What is this one? This one is, organizational. It means the belief and the culture of the members should be accept what his or her belief, because everyone in the organization has a different cultures and a different beliefs. So very important, accept 100% and respect what his his or her faith, even the Christians or Muslims or the Buddhist or what kinds of religion. So very important always to speak for the subordinates. And number three, that is solve conflicts. What is this one? For example, if your two members having a quarrel, should be fixed immediately. Those quarrel, for example, those people, for example, those two guys, and fix immediately for for the peace of the teams. And aside from that, embrace change and inspire others. For example, how to embrace? Embrace should be you always motivate your members and inspire. What do you inspire? For example, you inspire, instead to discourage your members, should be to encourage. For example, the motivational words, like example, the flowering words, always encourage. And number four, the overcome volatility. For example, volatility, yung such the volatility is arrogance. For example, it because he is a leader, he doesn't accept his mistakes. Even he knows his action is bad, because he's a leader. He's doesn't accept his mistake. And then 13, and complexity and ambiguity. For example, complexity and ambiguity should be to focus what is the aims of the organizations. For example, should be being a leader, you always focus. For example, the aims of our company for today, for example, is to be productive for 2020, 2021. And number 5, they are strategics. For example, strategies should be you always gathered a lot of informations by, for example, through Googles, or through, for example, in the box, because in the box has a lot of informations to get by the box and apply to the organizations. And aside from that, global thinkers. It means global thinkers, for example, not just only for the local, ideas, but it also for the international ideas. Because for me, international ideas much better rather than the local ideas. Should be to adapt the local ideas, or should be you are a global thinkers. And entrepreneurs, it means business minded. You always are looking forward, negative, positive. For example, always looking forward to yourself and with your subordinator. Should be always positive. How to be positive? For example, to give for them a lot of ideas, to feed for them a lot of information regarding how to improve their weakness, because everybody, I believe, everybody has a weakness, different weakness and different attitudes in the organizations. Sir, next ulit. Ayan po. Ayan po, characteristic of managerial leadership. For example, every manager has to be a leader in his or her operations by guiding. It means every managers has a different ideas, how different techniques to apply to the organization. For example, they are guiding their members. They are guiding to a new members in the teams. And aside from that, inspiring, how to inspire the new members. Always, the flowering word, that should be the word is is accurate or enough. For example, and aside from that, the motivation employees. For example, if one employees has um, is discouraged because for example, he's such is alone. For example, you always give a flowering words to encourage to uplift the weakness of the new members, because the role of the managers is always to give or to feed the informations or to give ideas to the members, because you are a role model should be in the organizations. And the goals, for example, effectively and efficiently to achieve an organization goals should be the actions of the managers is efficiently. It means fulfilled, and effectively. It means if a manager has a plan, should be the plan of the manager has accurate to the goal of the organizations. Sir, next ulit. Managers have to acquire leadership characteristics such as, for example, being a leader should be you always motivate your members. How to motivate? It's a lot of ideas. It's a lot of it's a lot of method to motivate by themselves. Because, for example, if you motivate a negative way, they are performing well in the organizations. And number two, develop common interests. For example, what is the interest of individuals in the organizations? To support the interests of the individual. Maybe he or she has, to upgrade if his interest outreach because he loves or she loves such that that ways. And number three, seek support. Seek support, it means always support your members. Even what happened, even you have a bad feeling with him, support and respect to your members because you are a leader. You are a good leader in the organizations. And number four, assume responsibility. Ay, sorry kasi binibilisan ko kasi naka lang ako, naka-hotspot. Baka maubos yung load ko. Naka 200 na kasi ako eh. Sa wifi kasi namin mabagal. Number four, assume responsibility. Ayan. Being a leader should be you assume your responsibility. What is your responsibility being a leader? Should be being a leader, my responsibility, for example, to give a good performance to the company and to the organizations, because a leader is always an asset of the organizations. You're lucky because a lot of the applicant applying such the positions, but you chose the company, so you are considered a lucky. Ay, wait lang na yun na napalubat na. Number five, develop a situational style. What is this one? This one is, I think, is, for example, in real estate, should be this one is the bomb. For example, bomb in the market should be, for example, if your company has a weakness, should be a develop. For example, because your company it doesn't to compete at the market, because maybe the product or maybe the style of the company is not acceptable to the market. This one is a leader should be always develop. How to develop our weakness? Should be a weakness is to become the strength of the company, or else should be become the strength of the leaders. Doc, next ulit. Ayan, style of managerial leadership. While personally favoring the democratic style, some experts acknowledge managers need to take certain practical consideration in account before how to manage. It is suggested that managers should be considered three sets for example, the leadership style. What is, for example, number one, forces in the manager. Being a manager, how to force in yourself. Being a manager should be you are created, should be you as a persuasive, because you are a manager. You are, a lot of your members rely with you. If the performance of the leader is good in the company, maybe the performance of the members is always is the same, because the leader is a god. Also the subordinator is a god. It depends the manager, the performance of the members. Number two, forces in the subordinates. What is this one? Forces for the employees. For example, if the employees felt tardiness, should be to ask for them. What is the reason why you feel such that? Might be he or she has a bad feeling to a manager, or maybe she has a bad feeling to the company. That's why the reason why she feels as laziness or tardiness. Forces to the subordinate, but in a good way. In a good way, to force your members, not just for the 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 bad way. Number three, forces in the situations. How to force the situations? Situations, for example, if if the situation for to be in the organizations is good or bad, should be to always study what is the must, or what is the better, rather than the previous situations. Always being a leader should be always a creative, to find a lot of idea, or to find a lot of knowledge to apply to the organizations. For the organizations is always to be productive, because the goal or the aim of the organization is to be a profitable. Doc, next po ulit. Management techniques and leadership strategies you can use right now. For example, these following are truly important. For example, motivate, don't dominate. For example, instead, to instead of using a power in a bad way, should be to motivate your members much better. Don't use your power to to blaming or to embarrass your members, because I know I some of the managers have such these issues. The other using his or her power to embarrass or to blame the members, not just a personal, not just a personal. It always put as a professionals in the organizations. Motivate and respect for them. Even you are at the top and your subordinator at the bottom, respect, because you are a leader. And number two, learn how to listen. For example, listen your subordinates. Majority much better rather alone. It means the power of the majority, because he or she has had a different experience by the previous job. They are giving or the informations how to improve your weakness, should be accept and listen to your subordinators. Don't you bother yourself. For example, baka naabala lang ako, parang ganon. You are useless because you are subordinators, and I is a manager. You are a manager. You are a manager. And number three, learn how to hold people accountability. This one is really important. For example, if somebody has a mistakes or a failure, should be you always ask in a right way. For example, don't blame with for example, don't blame to us, because he has a first senses. It means he has a feeling. Like example, always accountable. Your accountability, what is your obligations or accountability to your members? Your accountability to your members is to upgrade uh, their weakness, to give a lot of information, a lot of ideas uh, for your members to be successful someday, and be unhuman. This one is a very is unhuman. It means avoid the bad feeling. The treat for them such an animal, it's a bad, because he or she unhuman. The situations or the relationship should be is always in good relationship. And number five, look at the failure and mistakes as a learning opportunity. For example, this one, the failure and the mistake. Those are the two. For example, is really important. For example, if failure and mistake always always think those are your string, because if you if you mistake for today, the mistake to become my string. Because doon tayo natututo sa pagkakamali natin. We are learn from our mistakes. And number 6, show your employees that they matter. This one, uh, always us or always a good relationship to your subordinates. Don't don't blame or don't embarrass with us because they are your members in the organizations. So very important, your relationship or your speak to your subordinator as well as much important. Because for example, for your attitude, you know, um, so in your organization, in your members, the members didn't, for example, speak with you because your bad attitude with us. Doc, paano ulit? Next po ulit. 5 qualities of effective leaders. This one, the qualities is really important. For example, being a leader, they are self-aware and prioritize personal development. It means self-aware. For example, you always thinking a lot. You always thinking a lot. For example, what is the best way for today to apply to my organizations or to my subordinators? Because for example, because my organizations is led by leader, unproductive. And aside from that, the personal development, maybe a manager has a problem. Maybe his or her attitudes is bad. That's why his members didn't perform well. It's because they are fail, the bad feeling a leader. So being a leader should be self-aware and personal development. It means personal development not just for only for the teams, but it also, for example, if you want to develop yourself, should be attend a lot of the seminar, and for example, the seminar attend a lot of the seminar, and the knowledge by the seminar getting with you, apply immediately to the organization. And number 2, to focus on developing others. What is this one? This one is uh, always proud what you want. It means not just focus only yourself, but also to your members. Number 3, they encourage strategic thinking, innovations, and actions. Always, for example, strategic thinking. What is the best method for today to apply to the organization? If this method will be applied in the organization, it's possible the organization is productive, or it's possible my members will also productive. And aside from that, innovations, for example, gathered a lot of informations by the people had an experience such that it means, for example, because a lot of managers, for example, he or she has gathered information by the different people, and because they believe, for example, the previous manager had an experience or had a previous a deepest ideas. That's why the reason why is very important. And number 4, they are ethical and civic minded. This one for the society. It means your charisma. For example, makarisma. Let example, civic minded in the society, not just only for the company, but also the society, because the society is belong how to the company improve. Such example, Barack Obama. Barack Obama was very very charismatic. Even the white American both voted Barack Obama because he is tongue silver. He's eloquent to speak, And this plan is for the all American. This one is civic mind. It's really important in the organization to apply such this minded. And number five, the practice effective cross-cultural communications. It means cross-cultural communication. For example, if you have a client, international client, for example, an aliens client, American or whatever, for example, Chinese, Japanese, should be you study even a little bit idea regarding his culture. And six requirements for effective strategy development. Number one, clarity of purpose. This one, what is the purpose of the organizations? Why our organization hired me? Might be the organization believes my knowledge. It's really important to clarify the purpose. For today, the purpose of the organization is to be productive for the next year. And mutual speak. This one is for individual or everybody. Everybody needs to respect inside the organizations. Even the janitor respect to the janitor. And number three, cross-functional alignment should be always aligned. For example, if the goal of the company is productive for this month, should be the plan of the manager should be aligned of the goal of the company. And number four, attention of both operation and planning. Planning, for example, what is the plan the manager for today? Should be the plan of the manager is including the members and the company as well. So really important, the manager and the members of the company and also the company is know the plan, because the effectiveness of the plan is it depends the good the good thinking of the manager. Number five, honest communication. Honest communication is, for example, to avoid falsehood. It means yung paasa. It means, for example, honest communication, to tell what is the fact, informations, what is the data given, for example, by the members of the organizations. Should be always honest communications. And number three, infrastructures. Infrastructures are related for the the yung nature area, for example, workplace. This one are workplace, for example, the members or the subordinates didn't competent because, for example, the workplace is mainit or maingay. They are not comfortable because the noisy place. Sir, next po ulit. Yeah, this one, the quote for today. Leadership is action, not a position. Diba sa really important? The quote is, ano lang siya, maliit lang. Pero nandyan yung point na talaga yun ang kailangan. Thank you po. Thank you po, Doc.
Okay, so actually, deploying leadership practices requires an intelligent, appropriate, adaptive, strategic, mobilizing, and inspiring manner, which is not easy, right? So it is easy to parrot the words of empowerment, innovation, leadership, governance, duty of care, value added, network collaboration, and partnership. It is also easy to lead an organizations, people, teams when everything is going your way. It is much harder to be the leader and to exert adaptive leadership when transformation is required. So to identify a path forward when the competitive landscape is changing and reinvent strategies when the global economic assumptions are proving ineffective for the future. Then the writers of a newspaper executive recruitment ad certainly understand this, no? So what are the constraints against effective deployment of leadership practices? So the act of leadership requires one to step forward and offer up their service, commitment, and extra effort to enhance the condition of community. This first act in itself, no, is a difficult for several. Very real because of some personal reasons. It may be more comfortable to just do what's it's normal and not offer anything extra. No? It may be culturally difficult to be seen to step forward. No? Because in Japan, they have the saying, the nail that sticks it, heads up, gets hammered down. Another thing is people may actually feel that aren't qualified to lead or despite their title. No? The establishment and the status quo may appear too overwhelming to challenge. No? And when may worry about our personal safety or at least alienation from team members. Another thing is aversion, no, to enhance responsibility and its attendant accountability plus workload. Then self-perception as a non-leader, a manager, super salesperson, technical expert, and others. We may be energy depleted due to the arrival of a new baby, for example, in the household, or the attention to aging parents or distraction due to relationship difficulties with our partner. There is a very limited added benefit to leading versus following. No? So another aspect of deploying leadership means that you will likely have to challenge the status quo or lead others in an adoption initiative in response to major threat, no, that makes you all into uncharted territory. Blocks to a certain asserting leadership in this kind of situation include some bigger issues, more visible, tangible rewards to staying in the old model, no? The current leaders putting roadblocks in the way of new leaders, right? As I mentioned earlier, take note of it. Some current leaders putting roadblocks in the way of a new leaders. Another thing, lack of role model to emulate, lack of clarity as to what will be required for success, inability to turn theory into practice, sometimes intimidation from others who aspire to the leadership role, the more public exposure of your own faults and failures, some intellectual readiness for handling complexity, no? Ambiguity, and making decisions that will impact a large number of others. But despite the number of books published each year on this topic, there is no 6-point recipes to effective leadership for all situations. Actually, it's amazed by the number of individuals in every session I lead before which approach me and ask for the one's best way to be better team leader. No? When I was assigned as a trainer, no, of a group or a company, or maybe sometimes they are also asking about on how I implement innovation practices or on how I could develop a strategic plan. So every organization in each challenge requires a somewhat different approach. Again, in finishing or in the leadership requires somewhat different approach, no? Leadership action required by each unique context, no? So while we can learn a lot from the people's successes and failures, we can simply replicate someone else's action for a different situation, no? Obstacle to effective leadership deployment in this aspect, of course, it includes assumptions that there is one right way of handling a complex adoption situation, or lack of willingness to believe in one's own judgment and experience, or managing tasks, people, and resources around an old context and notion that one person can know enough to have all the answers. So, when adaptive leadership requires the facilitation of processes and encouragement of teams of people in the exploration of the issue and alternative solutions toward more collaborative and multi-perspective decision making. Another thing, belief that a solution from an entirely different context can be simply applied to the current context. So the past now, the entirely different or the past context can be simply applied to the current context and situation. So if leadership was that easy, so we would have far more successes that we witness, right? Then getting so caught up in a carrying out our own task or playing the political games that we forget or deprioritize the more important human interaction and human resources leadership elements. So what we're going to do is to use that theory and reality in applying leadership. No? So we have few obstacles to effective leadership. So indeed, theoretically, we can easily study past situation. So we can apply the 2020 hindsight, right? And we can identify how things should have been handled and then apply forward our insights to create a prescription of how to handle future challenges. So in the heat of the decision-making moment, no, unfortunately, we rarely have the benefit of 2020 perspective over our current situation, nor do we usually have the time to exhaustively analyze and think through all the possible consequences. Although, no, the priorities and perspective of decision makers are significantly impacted by the thinking style and values of those involved at the time and their formative experiences leading up to that moment. So, most of the real success in expressing leadership happens at the interface between theory and reality. So, in the midst of paradox, where theory and reality don't match, and in the swirl of very personal and interpersonal difficulties, conflict and differences of opinions. So, to throw out theory and completely wing it is as dangerous as taking a simple impersonal cookbook approach, no, because leadership for tomorrow requires a blend of two, as I mentioned earlier, no. In a various session actually with executive, when I talk, no, I ask them to imagine what advice they might give to a relative that is being challenged to step into a senior leadership role and calls you for your help. So actually, their answer is to give the questions as good as anything I might bring forward from my own experience. So again, experience is very important. No? So again, a good reminder to all of us to how we can deploy more effective leadership practices. We need to stand up for what you believe in. Look for consistency between your own beliefs and the values of the organization's community looking for your leadership. Make sure you know what is in your heart and draw upon this for the courage, passion at the same time, and desire to step up and lead. You can realize the leadership is not about the destination. It's about, or it is all about the journey. So be adventurous, be observant, listen to the ideas and experiences of others, and be prepared to make mistakes, but turn them into learning experiences and move forward with the insight these setbacks provide. Then, another thing, take one step at a time. So you don't have to solve everything at once, no? Or indeed all by yourself. You don't have to get it 100% right at the start either. No? It is important to get started, then improve and adapt over time. Consider what are the benefits and also what do you really have to lose by stepping forward. Be conscious of the obstacle you may be putting in front of yourself. Are your assumptions reasonable or just worries? No? What do you have to do to remove them and step forward? So, ensure you have a sponsor or support group. No? Being a leader is often lonely work and we'll all need a support system to help us out. We need also to examine your motives. No? Be comfortable with the reasons you would use to justify stepping into leadership. Again, as I mentioned, as what our presenter mentioned, communicate, 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 communication, 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 communication. Because the communication is actually being received, interpreted in the manner you intended. Di ba? So it depends upon on how you, no, interpret or receive the manner you intended. Once you decide to go for it, suck it up, be assertive, confident, and always think positive. Okay? So, of course, these insights, of course, lead from the heart, not from the head. No? Do the kind of things you know in your heart are right, as opposed to thinking about what others might be expecting or what will be politically correct. Okay? Another thing, energy. No? So, the effective management, no, actually, the effective management of one's own energy and the energizing of your followers is absolutely crucial. No? This means recognizing your own energy patterns and when best to take certain courses of action. It also requires you to look after yourself and your own sustainability of energy. Get the positive energy flowing around you and in the people you lead. Another thing, get real. Get personal. Get genuine. No? Leadership is best when the leader is realistic, engage with people at a very personal level, and is respected for being genuine and walking his or her own talk. As a leader, we need to accept our mistakes, or admit our mistakes, and work hard to fix them right away. Be forgiving and supportive when others make mistakes. None of the really important things in human history have been easy to accomplish. Since the core of leadership is really about leading adaptation or changing practices, realize that there will be some pain for every gain. Parang kasabihan lang siya. Diba? Realize that there will be some pain for every gain. We need also to recognize that in change situation, you have to start by maintaining the status quo. Temporarily, right? While at the same time considering, planning, and then implementing the new elements of top of the existing work. And actually, this cannot possibly be done in the previous normal work hours or with the same efforts as before. Slow things down. Of course, this can seem awfully difficult in the midst of the vortex, no? But it is crucial. You must have or you must make time to engage others, listen to their concerns, ideas, and counsel. People naturally resist changes imposed upon them without their input, right? Okay. Refuse to make important or big decisions all by yourself. Refuse also to make the decision for others that should be able to make their own decisions, even though it might seem very easy for you to do. But today's complexity requires more collaborations and involvement of many perspectives in the important, high-impact decisions. No? Also, in empowering others, you have to let them make their own decisions. Because every time you take back the decision-making from someone you are trying to empower, so even though they may be asking you to, you are taking back power and reducing empowerment overall. Ito yung sinasabi ng presenter kanina. Invest time upfront to build team and build the environment and capacity for frontline decision making and empowerment along with accountability. Okay? To effectively lead change and take a network leadership approach means that you have to rise up level and let others make the more day-to-day decisions. And this allow you to cast a wider scan for improved perspective. It allows you to energize and cross-connect people in the broader network of customers, suppliers, and your stakeholders and others. If you are constantly required to direct groups or individuals, holding the focus and providing the lead decision making, you will be unable to lift yourself up to the higher level of leadership. And of course, don't forget to smile. Always smile. Mhm. Then finally, no? Kanina kasi nabanggit ni Sir yung ethics, no? Yung ethical, no? Leadership deployment is not only about applying education in appropriate leadership practices. Just because you can do something or some law doesn't expressly forbid you from doing what you are considering doesn't mean you should take that course of action. Okay? So, Leadership competency is a combination of intelligent thinking, appropriate practices, and expression of sustainable values and ethics. If a leader or a potential leader isn't aware of their own values and beliefs, how will they convincingly express values, believably impassion others, and facilitate their engagement to create or support new ideas and vision? Okay? So I think shaping up to the difficult and unsettling or for many organizations and communities around the globe as the past few, there are major leadership forces all around us still trying to apply old approaches and context to the challenges of today and tomorrow. So in such an obviously deficient manner. And there are also numerous leaders fostering ingenuity and implementation of new practices. So perhaps look around you and watch some of the most dynamic, positive, and effective leaders you can find to inspire you. Then think about what you might do differently or what new practices you might deploy this year in your company or in your organization to improve your leadership competency. So, because deploying managerial leadership to win is very hard actually, no? A very challenging task to each and everyone. Okay, so parang gigil na gigil si Dean kasi talaga. So, kasi for my 17 years as Dean of different universities and colleges, I've encountered a lot of people, different strategies, different approach, but most commonly the problem, the ethical behavior, the values actually. Okay, that's it for today. Thank